Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of a totally normal podcast about films, Atom Path. It's been how long, I don't remember, but we are back. I am of course Claire, and that is my co-host. One day he will introduce this podcast. Now, it was your choice of film this week.
It was, yeah. Should I talk about why I chose this film, or how do you want
Talk
to
about
start?
whatever you want.
Okay. So, the film we are talking about today is One Cut of the Dead.
Mm-hmm.
It's a horror comedy, and it's let's stay with it's a horror comedy. It won a lot of prizes and awards at different festivals. It's a Japanese movie.
It's an indie film, if I'm not mistaken.
It's an indie film, yeah. I can say it costed 3 million yen, which is about 25,000 US
That's a
dollars.
cheap movie to produce.
It's really cheap. I think they some parts of it were founded by Kickstarter or something like that. So yeah, just 25 USD, and I think it just brought out something very creative.
It on a lower budget than most zombie movies. It did more with the zombie genre than like the last 4 seasons of The Walking Dead.
I never watched Walking Dead, so I just saw some memes.
I see this film as just a massive love letter to both classic zombie movies and just zombies in general.
Yeah.
It's not trying to do something revolutionary with zombies. What it is a damn good movie about zombies. And we don't want to say much, but
Give
if
it a
you
shot.
like it, if you like that genre, just watch it. You'll have a good time.
So yeah, when did you watch it? So how
I watched it when we are recording this. It is a Wednesday, and I watched it on a Friday. So I watched it last Friday.
Okay, so it's some time ago, but I remember that you were surprised that you liked this movie this much.
Yeah, I was somewhat going into it being like, I'm not sure how much I'm going to enjoy this, and came out of it like, ooh.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't even know how I got into this film. It was just I was browsing and shopping some horror movies for Halloween, I think, a year or two ago, and I stumbled upon it and just thought, hey, this one looks funny, let's go for it, because I like Asian movies, maybe, as you already got from the amount of movies that come from Asia we discussed in this podcast.
What was it? We've just worked out it's like half the movies.
Could be, yeah. Yeah, and I just gave it a shot, and I went into this movie knowing nothing, and I think that's the best way to enjoy this movie. So if you haven't watched this movie and you really want to enjoy it in the form it should be enjoyed, then don't do more information stuff,
Just watch it.
Just watch it.
Just
Don't read the Wikipedia.
Put your faith in us.
Put your faith in us. it would be better to stop the podcast right now and
Yes.
watch the movie. Otherwise, we will talk about the movie now,
Yeah,
but without spoilers. But
As-
when we get into spoiler territory, I remind you, please watch the movie before we get into the spoiler territory.
yes, this film is. You could really hardly talk about this movie without talking about spoilers. So, if you're sold on it now, just watch it. We understand.
Okay, I think that's enough. Let's try to talk without spoiling, and then. But I don't think that this part will be too long. But let's try it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to start because your memory of it is fresher than mine?
So, the whole premise of the movie is it is about a film crew who are filming a. The best way to describe it is they're filming a B movie.
A
They're
zombie
filming
B movie.
the
Yeah.
classic zombie B movie, overacted, people in not much, people in very basic makeup, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think
And
it starts with a close-up of the main actress, and she's
it does.
screaming, and a zombie tries to eat her.
Yeah, it's meant to be this really tense scene, and she kind of underacts it, which results in the director having a massive go at her. And then the zombie actor. But the general gist of it is, it's a film about filming a zombie B movie that becomes an actual zombie B movie.
Exactly. So yeah,
And
they're
it's-
trying to film a zombie B movie, and they kind of stop it and take a break, and some weird things start to happen.
The whole thing is they're basically filming in an abandoned place where some experiments happened, and now they're zombies. I mean, it's not the most original plot, but it's what I mentioned. It's not meant to be a unique take. It's meant to be a love letter to the genre. It's like watching Scream and expecting it to get to be revolutionary. No, it's meant to be. Scream is for slasher fans.
So it kind of reminded me of found footage too,
It
because
does have that vibe.
the name of the movies, so the English name,
One Cut of the Dead.
yeah, it is actually a one cut. So
Wait,
just one long take.
Isn't the part of the Japanese name "Don't Stop the Camera"? And I didn't know that going in, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is brilliant."
Yeah, and you think. So what happens is, without spoiling too much, so they take this break, and suddenly I think somebody knocks on the door, and they open it, and an actual zombie comes in.
Yeah, and I think it's around this time. I think it might have been a little bit earlier or a little bit later, but an arm gets thrown in, and they think it's a prop arm. And then the cameraman comes in dead with his arm off, and they're like, oh, look, they've done you up. Oh, no, you're missing an arm.
Yeah. So the cameraman is a zombie now. And at first the crew doesn't know what to do. They throw the arm around and kind of wrestle with the zombie. And suddenly the director bursts in with the camera rolling and starts to capture the actual footage of this zombie attack.
Okay, I just wanted to say, I know we'll go more into this later. The director is my favourite character.
Mine too.
He's just completely off the walls.
He's completely nuts. Like, you're thinking, okay, this is actually a dangerous situation. And suddenly this guy bursts in and makes the best... You don't see my my marks right now I'm making in the air.
Yeah. Quotation marks.
Quotation marks, yeah. He tries to make the best out of the situation because he needs the money of this movie.
Yeah. One of my favourite scenes a little bit later is when they're doing the thing of, oh no, we can't escape by car. And he fucking opens the door and it's like, action, there's a zombie.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God.
When he throws the zombie at them.
I want this guy in every horror movie.
Yeah, the zombies kind of ignore him.
Yeah, they don't care. They're just like, alright, he's leading us to food. Yeah, like, I legitimately thought that Marvel Zombies would be the best bit of zombie media I would have watched this month. And then I ended up watching this, I was like, yeah, no, this is good. Also watch Marvel Zombies. Also watch What If Zombies. What If Zombies was a good episode.
Yeah, I'm not the greatest fan of the series, but I enjoyed that episode. But enough of What If. It's about...
Yeah, no, that's right. That was just an aside.
It's okay.
It's not a podcast if one of the hosts doesn't get mildly distracted. So like, one of the things I think is really great about the acting is how candid it is, like how very improv-y in a way. It feels like they're reacting.
Yeah, it was shot with unknown actors and unknown names, and it just... I think most of it is improvised because it is a long shot, and you can't write everything. You can't plan a whole one shot. Like, you have to improvise at least a little bit.
And honestly, I think it works. I know some films that have like a similar stance. I know some films that work with children, for example. I think the basic gist is they're told what happens in the scene, but like they're kind of given a bit of leeway.
Yeah.
And I imagine this is what happened. Like being told, okay, in this scene, this is going to happen, but letting them react accordingly.
So, and to be honest, this movie is a little bit trashy. Yeah. Because of the acting and stuff, but it has its own charm.
It's a fun movie, and I've now mentioned this a lot in this podcast, but I think we need to really appreciate the fun movies. We could watch every
this
movie
one
could be depressing, or we could watch really a film about a cameraman going absolutely mad as his career just trying to survive a zombie apocalypse.
So I think this one is a good gateway into the horror genre as a whole.
Yeah. I also...
Like, it's not scary. Not really scary.
Oh, it's not at all.
One or two.
Honestly, if someone younger, on the younger side, could find a dubbed version or can get around subtitles, I actually think it would work as kind of not a kid's first zombie movie, but I think I could see a 10, 11-year-old enjoying this. That just might be the fact that like I've watched.
Yeah, but let's be honest. Kids watch movies like that earlier.
Yeah, like That's not. Look, kids, don't watch Saw. Don't watch Hostel. Watch One Cut of the Dead and Evangelion.
Yeah.
It's a fun show about mechas, but like, I agree with you. This is a good first. I think this is a good first zombie movie. I also think this is a good movie if you've gotten maybe a little bit tired of the genre, you know.
Yeah. It kind of goes with the usual zombie tropes, but it's so charming. You see the love pouring out of every pore of this movie.
Absolutely. This isn't made by people who hate the zombie genre and want to reinvent it. This is made by people who I can imagine have watched and loved films like Night of the Living Dead and 28 Days Later and have just seen this movie and just like, I want to make something like that.
So
George Romero is looking up from heaven and he's like, they're done good. Is George Romero dead? I think he's dead.
You just pronounced him dead. I can look it up. Wait.
Like, I'm pretty sure he's dead.
Yeah, he's dead since 2017, so he didn't had the chance to.
Oh. Then he was looking up from heaven. I was like, they did good. Done good. But
Yeah, I think about now is the time where we get into the spoiler territory, because we can't beat around the bush.
yeah,
Can you say that?
if you've no, that's the exact phrase I would have gone for. If you haven't dropped off now, I beg of you, drop off, because I am going to request in a second, I'll do a countdown, and I'm going to drop the biggest spoiler of the movie after that countdown. You have until Leon stops counting. Go.
3, 2, 1, go.
The second half of this film is actually about making the first half.
Yeah.
And the moment that dawned on me, I think the exact messages that I sent you were like, wait, what? Like, in full caps. And
Yeah.
I have not had a reaction to a second half of a movie like this since I watched Hot Fuzz. And as Hot Fuzz is my favourite comedy movie. Because I feel like this film was very similar to Hot Fuzz for me, because I was vibing with the first half. I was vibing more with it because I prefer zombies to police movies.
Yeah.
But I was like, it's I wouldn't have. I think I would have stopped if you hadn't have asked me to watch it.
Yeah, I think that's the big problem. The first half is not. It's kind of off-putting if you're expecting the movie we just praised, because you're watching like 37 minutes. I think that's how long the one shot goes.
Yes.
So actually this movie isn't one long shot, it's just the first 37 minutes are a long take.
And that's not to say that first bit isn't good. It is good.
It's actually a long take. They didn't use any digital editing to stitch together.
Yeah, it's legitimately
more takes.
one cut.
Yeah.
But like, I haven't really. Both this movie and Hot Fuzz do the thing well where the second half is so fucking good that the first half is now better.
Yes. Because you see the first half completely different. Like, after the 37 minutes, the credits start rolling, and when I was watching this movie, I was like, okay, that wasn't 90 minutes. The movie said it is 90 minutes long. What will happen now? because
I thought I'd watched a glitched version and sent me like to the last third of the movie.
Yeah, I watched it with a friend back then, and we had a good time with the starting because we enjoy trash movies as well. And this movie had some trash vibes in the beginning, and we were like, wow, they are really overacting, or why are they taking so many breaks between talking, and what are they looking at, you know?
And the
All
stuff like
those-
when the camera is dropped, you're like, what's going on? And I'll get to that. That's one
Yeah,
of my favourite bits of foreshadowing.
like there's a lot of stuff that's so weird. Like we are watching the whole thing from a camera perspective, but it's not the perspective of the filmmaker, you know?
Yeah.
So it is the perspective of the filmmaker later on, but actually, until I got my head wrapped around, it is a film about a film crew who tries to shoot a film. You know?
Yes. And I don't think I've seen a film like it. You get behind the scenes stuff, but you never get a film that is literally just such a love letter to filmmaking.
Yeah, and the passion this director has, and his daughter. His daughter is also a great character.
And it's just a... We're going to have to get into the plot of the second half soon, but we cannot stress this enough how much of a fantastic movie this is.
Yeah, and it actually got me laughing because in the first half there's this time where they where three cast members just talk to each other after the
the self-defense bit.
yeah, that was what I wanted to talk about.
Yes. That's not me beating you up. Do continue.
So yeah, one of the characters has made a self-defense course, and out of nothing, she starts talking about it and shows one of the things she learned in there. And it's so weird. That was maybe the first moment where I was thinking, what are they going for in this movie? Like, that's so random that she does this out of nothing.
But it's also plot
Until a zombie
relevant
pops
because
in.
she uses it towards the end. There were just something so funny about they're trying to stop her. She's just like, Pum!
Yeah, and she always does this pump thing. That's part of the self-defense technique.
Okay, should we actually go into what the plot of the second half is? So after the credit, it's revealed that it's actually a flashback. The whole second half is a flashback. And it's revealed that the director is he's an actual director, but he's not doing anything that he clearly enjoys his job, but it's not anything he really wants to be doing.
Yeah, I think I don't quite remember, but I think he just takes the jobs he gets offered because he needs the money.
Yeah. And he has a daughter who he's feel like he's drifting away from, who also wants to become a director, and a former actor wife. And he's given an offer by I think it's like the Zombie Channel.
Yeah, it's kind of a B-movie channel.
And they want to have like a big gimmick thing for their first show, which is a roughly 30-minute short film in one shot. And he's been hired to do it. And it is just... Basically, the film's almost split into 2/3. No, 3/3. The first is the movie. The middle is kind of the getting the gang together. It's introducing the characters, etc. it's kind of the weakest part of the movie, but it has to happen.
Yeah, it has to happen because there are some important things that matter in the third.
Like if you don't have the build up to the joke, you can't have the punchline. And then there's the third half, which is them actually filming it, which is the greatest 30 minutes of any movie I've ever witnessed.
Yeah, because it's the second time we see the movie being made, but now we get the other perspective and why the actors kind of acted weird sometimes.
And it makes so much sense.
Because there's another thing. They have to do it perfectly the first time they shoot it because it's live.
Yes, I'm sorry, I forgot about that. It's being broadcast live.
And I think that's the biggest problem they have.
Yeah. And it is just... Where do we even begin? Should we just start by kind of like introducing the characters and then we go into the second half? Like, that's the final bit. So, the key stars that have been hired is I think it's a pop singer, and she's not that used to acting, and she's also very... She says a lot about, like, she doesn't know about, like, getting blood on her and stuff.
Yeah, she wants to look good in this movie. That's the main thing she wants out of this movie. Like, good publicity.
Yeah, she wants good publicity. There's also a famous actor who is the director's daughter's, like, big crush. But he's kind of stuck up his own arse.
Yeah, like, he is actually a good actor, but he's that kind of actor who questions the director, you know, and brings maybe a little bit too much of his own thing into the movie.
He seems to think like he's running the show when he's really not.
He wants to take away the stuff the director should do normally.
Yeah. There's other people, like the cameraman, there's the makeup director,
and the cameraman has some sort of... The cameraman, he has some sort of allergy. I think some water allergy?
Yeah, he struggles with some digestion issues.
Yeah. So if he drinks the wrong water, he has a problem. Which he does.
You'd think you'd be a bit more careful, considering, but you know, like, we move on. There's the what was the old guy's job?
I don't quite know what the old guy does. I think he's just a friend of the director, and he has an alcohol problem.
Mm-hmm.
Which they kind of take it serious, but it's also part why some jokes come up.
They do make jokes about it, which I'd normally be a bit about, but I think they take it kind of a bit more respectfully.
Yeah, like they actually show that he is ruining his life with that, because I think he can't see his daughter or something like that.
Yeah, he's ruining his relationship with his daughter.
Yeah, stuff like that. All that stuff.
And like, the director is genuinely trying to help him. It's just that when he gets drunk on the set, and it's like, okay, we don't have time. Get him in makeup.
Because that guy, the alcoholic, he is able to pull off some good acting and stuff, but only when he's sober, and that's the big problem. So they try to get him sober until the day of shooting, but at the day of shooting they get a present or something, and he just drinks a bottle of sake.
Yeah, like they're like they give him like a gift of like wine and stuff, and he downs the whole thing.
Yeah, when everybody isn't watching.
And there's the cameraman and his assistant. And this is where I was like, oh, because I mentioned the scene where like the camera drops for a good minute. And basically the cameraman's got a bad back. And the assistant's like, oh, I'll do it. We could do these cool shots and stuff. And he's like, no, I'm going to do it. We're going to do it the normal way. Which made me realise, oh, he drops the camera and the assistant takes over, isn't that? Like, I worked out that was going to happen. And like, it's so satisfying. But as the there is also the person who is meant to play a director and the person who's meant to play the makeup artist, but they end up out in a car accident before they can come.
So the actual director,
yeah,
the
actor
and takes over. Yeah, and that's why he's screaming so much and overacting, because he isn't an actor. And
he's the actual director and he's frustrated.
Yeah, and his wife stopped acting because she got too caught up in her roles back then, and she jumps in for the other woman
she takes on the makeup artist role.
Yeah, and well, she gets caught up in the role again.
Which is so entertaining. And have you got anything more to say about this phase, or shall we get into the grand finale? So, the first thing I loved was the realisation that was when they realised that the director was going to start to improvise. That's the moment I realised that, oh, this is going to go amazing. Because when he screams at the actor, he wasn't meant to be so harsh. But it's actually him yelling at the real actors.
Yeah. Because he has to do it now. The live stream will happen now.
It's the whole thing of don't stop filming. No matter what happens, we are finishing this.
And then a lot of good stuff happens, which was built up in the second third of the movie, like the mentioned cameraman. He drank the wrong water and he has to throw up and stuff, and he first just sits there absent-mindedly, and you see, oh, this guy is ill. Maybe he, in the first half you think, okay, maybe he got bitten or something. Maybe he turns into a zombie soon.
Yeah.
And he sits there, and I think after they killed the first zombie, he runs out.
Yeah, the director. He's like, hey, where are you going?
Because he has to throw up, or he has to do the other thing.
The slightly worse thing, yeah.
Yes. So during the first half, you think, why the fuck is he running out in the direction where the zombie was? What is happening? And I think.
And then you realise, oh, he just really
what
needs
happened
a shit.
then? Was he thrown in again? I don't know.
No, I think they use it as a thing to have like a scare where he gets like eaten. When in reality, it's one of the stage acts holding it to prevent him from going.
You hear a big commotion outside, and that's the time when the actors inside start to improvise and stuff. And that's why nothing happens during this period of the film. Because they have to completely improvise until they get back into the story again, you know?
Yeah. And stuff starts to click and make sense.
Yeah. And that's about the time when the director comes in again, and I think he has the drunk zombie.
Yeah, because he's literally puppeting the drunk guy.
Yeah, because the actor who played another zombie, the alcoholic, he is drunk and he's so drunk he can't really act. So they kind of puppeteer him and press him against the glass of the door, and you see how he grunts and stuff and makes zombie noises, and how he walks is also very zombie-like, but he's just drunk and in his makeup.
Yeah. It's so... And then you get stuff like there is a fourth wall break, but it works really well because I think it's when they're starting to have issues initially, and the director says to the camera, "Don't cut," or something like that. And
I love this thing. That was the thing I loved in the first third too, when he suddenly broke the fourth wall and talked to the audience.
I think it works really well.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it adds to the weirdness of the movie. It doesn't break the suspension of disbelief.
Yeah. It's just there's so much happening. It's just Yeah.
And getting to see how they did some of the effects and stuff, like decapitations and stuff, is so entertaining. But I think my favourite scene is of the second half, because there's so many good things that just, when the daughter starts to act like her father, help and stuff.
Yeah.
But my favourite thing is when they realise they kind of need to take out the wife because the wife is going a bit too far. And in the first half, there is a really weird scene where she's killed, but then she gets up, screams, collapses again. And I just thought, okay, just weird zombie moment. But it's when she gets knocked out, it's when you realise, it's like, you know what's going to happen. And it's made so much funnier knowing what's going to happen.
Like she died, but she didn't die. I think she has the axe in her head.
The axe in her head, yeah.
Or that one time where you have this really long shot of the idol girl, and she just screams and screams for 30 seconds. Why did they do that again? That was when they tried to get the wife under control again, right?
Yeah, that was when, because it was when they're on the rooftops as well, and they had a lot of issues because they kept repeating a certain shot, which I think worked really well, because it was it's almost like she's trying to improve her acting as she's dealing with a real zombie. It's the same scene from the start of the movie.
And then the camera crane doesn't work or something.
It breaks the camera crane.
And they do this human pyramid instead.
Yeah, to get a really cool, creepy final shot.
I think we kind of talked about everything. So we still have left out some things. But I think we should leave that to people who didn't follow our advice.
Yeah, we could go over everything.
Yeah.
But some things we don't need to bring up. It was just a good, entertaining movie.
Just watch it.
I will also say, though, the ending scene is utterly fantastic. Where it's just attention of, are they actually going to pull it off? Are they going to pull it off? And seeing them pull it off is so satisfying.
Yeah.
And it's the fact that they all come out of it laughing. It's there's not any absurd, I hate you tension. It's everyone comes out oh my god, we just did that.
They are just so happy. And you are happy after the movie ends because it did work out.
Yeah. And like the showrunners are happy, and the audience is happy, and you're happy, and the credit music's happy.
Oh, the credit music, so good. I still listen to it regularly.
So what was your favourite scene?
My favorite scene. My favorite scene. I think, obviously, the moment when the big twist is revealed is amazing. But I think one of my favorite scenes is when the girl hides in the shed.
Oh yeah.
And there's this zombie coming in, and for some reason the zombie doesn't see her, and then in the third act you see what actually happens there, because they are searching for something. Or
It's the she needs the axe for the plot, but the axe is still on the roof.
yeah.
So they have to give her stage directions. But they accidentally make a really good, creepy, tense scene.
So those scenes, the scenes where it is explained why they acted like they acted in the first third.
You know
Do
what?
you have a scene that stood out to you most?
I mean, I agree with your choices. I already mentioned it. The scene where like the wife just loses it because it's like it's just that massive struggle of like, we gotta keep it going, but she might actually hurt someone, so we kind of need to stop her, resulting in the fucking hilarious screaming scene where like she gets up. It's like some kind of a slasher movie. I was gonna say, I think one of the brilliant things about this movie is they could have structured it the other way. They could have started with the second and third act and then got into, you know, the final bit. And I am so glad they didn't. Because the film's better with the build-up.
This way is the perfect order of this film. Well, I think I have my favorite scene. My favorite scene is when the director pushes out the zombie out of the car onto them.
It's good both ways. It's funny both ways. And like, something impressive that hit me was, not only were they acting, you know, doing all the comedy, you know, in that. I don't know, the second half it does have different takes and stuff. It was the same. Like, they were filming the one cut bit then. So it's got different takes for the sense of continuity. But all of that was still done in one day, in one cut. Which just makes it so much more entertaining.
So maybe a little bit of background information. This 37-minute long take, it took them 6 takes to nail it.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
But I think that's kind of impressive that they only took 6 takes for this one.
Yeah, considering how shorter scenes could take, like hundreds of takes.
Yeah. And as a whole, they had 8 days of shooting it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think 6 months of editing.
Yeah. Because the editing's the bit that always takes the longest, I feel. But what a fucking fantastic movie. I cannot stress this enough. This is a great movie. Genuinely, with the movie we watched, I'm kind of mentally putting them in a bit of a tier list, if that makes sense.
All the movies we watched.
Yeah. And We've talked about down the line maybe doing, like, when we get to, like, a milestone, maybe doing, like, we rank them all. But in my opinion, I feel like the tiers we have is, with the top tier being, you know, like, masterpieces. The middle tier being pretty good movies, and the bottom tier being the weaker movies. But not bad, just weaker. We have not watched a bad movie on this podcast yet, I don't feel.
Maybe Planet 9.
What'd you say, sorry?
Plan 9. Maybe Plan 9.
We watched Plan 9, yes, we did watch Plan. But, you see,
Which
I
is
respect Plan
objectively
9.
a bad movie, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah. It's a bad movie, but it's a nice bad movie. But I think this is in the highest tier, up there with The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari and 12 Angry Men.
Yeah. Because this idea is so original. It's just something you don't see much. Like, most movies nowadays are kind of planned. They have to analyze the audience first, what people like, what they don't like. Like in Marvel films.
Kind of scared of taking risks.
A joke. Yeah, in Marvel films they have to. At least it seems like they have to do a joke every 10 minutes, at least.
I feel like we're gonna have to do a podcast on the MCU because I feel like we both have massive opinions on it, and not all of it is positive. Both sides, but
I think after what I heard, I think you like the MCU a little bit more than me.
yes, I
Like,
do.
don't get me wrong, I liked the MCU and I was like the biggest fan of it maybe until Iron Man 3, and then it kind of at least for me it was like, okay, now they kind of repeat themselves, but
Yeah,
let's talk about this on a special podcast.
Yes, we will. But yeah,
It was only 4 months of editing, not 6.
Gotcha. But yeah, I don't know if there's any more ways we could say, watch this movie. If you haven't watched this movie, watch this movie. What are you doing? Watch this movie. It's October. We have specifically timed this to make sure you could watch this movie at a relevant time. Watch this movie.
Yeah. Like, it's been a really long time since we last had this podcast, and I think I even announced this one in the last podcast.
Yeah, but we both got really busy.
Yeah. But hey, it's October, so it kind of fits.
It came out perfectly fine.
Yeah. So, what do you think? Should we do the thing I mentioned in the beginning, or should we do that another time?
I think we should do that as another thing.
Okay, just so the audience knows, we wanted, if this episode wasn't long enough, we wanted to talk about what got us into horror movies, but maybe we just do a special podcast about this some other time.
How about I bring up what my choice is for the next movie? And if everything goes well, the episode after next should be like a special... I think I'm dubbing it like the state of horror movies, where we just talk about what got us into it, our opinions, our favourites, and
maybe the different phases, like we got from slasher movies to home invasion,
stuff like the very German expressionism era, to the Universal horror cycle, the giant monsters, Hammer, when everything wanted to be The Conjuring.
So yeah, I think that's a good idea for a special.
Right. I'm glad. Right. The next movie we are watching will be Trick or Treat. It is a cult classic. It's something I've wanted to watch for many years now.
You didn't watch it yet?
I have not watched it yet. I'm actually planning on watching it this week, I believe. It is what I've heard it is a slasher anthology movie.
Oh, an anthology?
So
I love anthologies.
I think it's a little bit like Pulse, where it's different plots happening that are all connected. And it's basically about the spirit of Halloween and don't piss off the spirit of Halloween. And if anyone wants a teaser for this movie, watch the animated short film Season's Greetings. Which, in a similar way to how Saw had a short film pilot, Season's Greetings is almost the short film pilot to Trick or Treat. Also, watch Saw Zero, because Saw Zero is really good. Okay. Is that it for this podcast?
I think that's it. There's just one more thing I would like to say.
Yes.
The team of One Cut of the Dead, they kind of reunited for the whole virus situation that's going on
I heard
right now.
about this.
And they did a remote short film.
Yeah, was it just basically they recorded like a Zoom call?
Yeah. And it's equally funny.
Yeah.
Not as good, and it's only 26 minutes, I think, and it's about a tickle murder.
Okay.
No, not a murderer. He doesn't murder, he just gets into people's houses and tickles them.
What? Okay.
So it's really kind of funny. It's a funny little watch.
Yeah.
If you want more of this stuff.
Well,
maybe we put a link into the description.
Remind me and I will. Remind me and I'll put a link to all of those short films in the description. Well, thank you all so much for watching. I know it's been a while, but now that we're kind of getting back into the groove of things, we should be okay to keep up a pace.
Hopefully. Do you remember what you used to say at the ending?
Yes. Thank you for watching or listening. Maybe you smell it. I don't know. You could be watching this in 3483. Hello from the future. Hello from the past. Why are you listening to this? This has been Claire.
And me, Leon.
And we will see you guys next week. Happy Halloween.
Bye. Oh, and happy Halloween.
You must say bye again. Just cut out my interruption there.
I can say it again.
Say it again.
Okay. Bye.